Welcome to another episode of our SaaS Stories podcast. I'm your host Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your SaaS business. In this episode, I'll be talking with Deborah and Michael, the co-founders of Tisume. In a world where convenience and seamless experience are paramount, Deborah Somoye emerges as a visionary trailblazer driven by her own personal journey to transform the way we connect with stylists. As a CEO and co-founder of Tisume, she is leading the charge of revolutionizing the styling industry with a marketplace and scheduling system that promises to change the game. Deborah's path to entrepreneurship wasn't an accidental leap, but a natural progression rooted in her diverse experiences and unyielding determination. Prior to embarking on this transformative journey, Deborah honed her skills as an executive assistant as well as extending her support to CEOs in the dynamic realm of startups. This role ingrained in her deep understanding of pulse of innovation and art of delivering excellence. On a day that marked her 25th birthday, Deborah found herself immersed in a dilemma that countless individuals could relate to. As she sought to prepare for her birthday celebration, she searched for a hairstylist and a nails technician, and that took her down an arduous path of research, uncertainty, and eventually disappointment. The hairdresser she had, booked, chosen, cancelled at the last moment, and leaving her scrambling to find an alternative. This frustration ordeal resonated deeply with Deborah. She realized that her experiences wasn't isolated but mirrored the challenges faced by many others seeking reliable and trustworthy stylists. And so, the seed for Tisume was planned. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. Okay, Deborah and Michael, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us, Ash. You've done a great job actually explaining my background. I'll pass it on to Michael to explain how he also came and joined me on this journey.
Yeah,
Perfect.
perfect. So I was working on I guess, similar idea to Deborah, and then Deborah reached out after her 25th birthday and said, "Yeah, I have basically the same idea." And I came from like a technical background as a software developer, and I'm as a a project manager for software developers. But I didn't have a lot of the, I guess, industry knowledge, whereas Deborah was well suited with her experience to actually provide that industry knowledge. And together we made Tasumi. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I guess from a product perspective and the pain perspective, then, Deborah, you would be the right person who could tell us like what does actually the product do, who's it for, and where the main problems you're helping to solve.
Actually,
Um, yeah, I'll let Michael start off with it. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, essentially, Tasumi works into almost six parts. First is the booking system. Service providers are able to essentially post their services, and users will be able to book and pay via the app. Then there's the integration with Instagram. Whereas other apps will try to remove their service providers or their clients from one app to the other, our service recognizes that the community that we're working towards is very firmly grounded in Instagram, and therefore we work to collaborate with Instagram rather than replace them. Then there's a try it on AI system. We worked on an AI system that allows users to just take a few selfies, then choosing a style of their choice. The system augments reality with any profile uploaded, allowing users to try any style risk free. We have unique filters in place that allow us to just go above style and location of service providers, but ensure quality and availability too. We have community feedback for both service providers and service users, as both want to know who they're working with. Finally, we have an inventory management system for any service provider that wants to provide that wants to manage their equipment, tools, resources, products. Our inventory management system allows us to track what's being used and how often that's being used, and set reminders for when service provider need more. And finally, that leads on to our Tasumi store. This we In the Tisume store, we sell industry leading products that cater to Black services providers and specific needs. But we also use machine learning and data from the inventory management system and booking system to market to what service providers are most likely going to need or want in the future. Yeah.
Right.
So
So you
Michael,
basically create, sorry, Deborah. I was just saying that you basically creating the whole ecosystem like App Store did.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Go on, Deborah.
I was going to say, yeah, so Michael's explained the product and all the fun features we have. And I just want to talk about the pain points that we're actually solving.
Mm.
So, like I said, the whole issue came about when a stylist cancelled on my birthday. And Michael and I actually went out into the streets of London and we were asking women and men, what are the issues you are having? And a lot of them complained about prices being inconsistent. It's an overly saturated market. So, it's always difficult to find someone, and also you can never determine the quality guarantee. So we wanted to address those problems with the with the service industries, and hence why we have features such as price comparison, where you can actually compare prices of different stylists. You can search by location. So if I live in London, if I live in Hackney and I want to find someone in Hackney, we can list all the service providers who are available to you. And then also with our review systems, you can assure the quality that you're getting from the service providers. We live in an age where everything is on the internet and you don't necessarily know what you're getting. So we've added features and we've really thought about how to be innovative and how to separate ourselves from competitors in the market. And as Michael said, we've introduced technology such as AI augmented reality. Um, if you actually look at my bio picture, that's an example of the technology we use. It isn't actually me. It's an example of an AI, and it gives users an opportunity to try on styles before booking them, just to envision what it looks like. Features such as machine learning for service providers, it's a lot of manual work for them at the moment to kind of see what they're putting up of it, what they've got available. Am I actually available? Do I have the products for this to be available? By using our machine learning, we learn what your services are like, how much you're using, your inventory, and from that we're able to actually determine what you can and can't do, alongside yourselves. And yeah, it's all of these features that we've actually specifically thought out. And then I know Michael mentioned the Tisume store, so we're thinking way past a marketplace for just services, also a marketplace for products related to the services that people book. 59% of Black British women, they shop at independent retailers, and what that tells us is there is no Boots, there is no Superdrugs for minority users, and we want to bridge that gap by offering a marketplace for services and products also.
Mm. Interesting. And you would be surprised to know that I recently interviewed one of the very well-known footballer in UK who recently started a fintech startup. And he comes from the minority group too, and he shares the similar emotion that when you're working on a challenge in the market, which is focused for a particular personas or specific cultural or specific requirements in terms of when you serve the solution to the users.
Yeah.
The research takes a lot of time because you have to pinpoint your ideal customer profiles in a way that it suits them
Yeah.
and suits you as well, because it's bi-directional, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Great. So based on what you have explained me, Deborah, I think it would be really great for our listeners, as well as if a wider audience listen to this podcast. I would, and I think our listeners would also be eager to learn more about both of you, Deborah as well as Michael. Can you take us back to your roots and share with our listeners about your upbringing, your childhood? How did your early experiences shape your journey and eventually led to become the visionary entrepreneurs you are today? And were there any key influences from your family, your surrounding friends that played a significant role in shaping your entrepreneur spirit?
Mm.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Sure.
So I actually grew up as an athlete. I played basketball for the first 20 years of my life. And a part of that journey is you learn to be very disciplined. You learn to work towards a goal. And I've played at the highest level. I've played professionally. I played for England basketball. And I guess whilst basketball didn't pan out for me, I was able to take all that knowledge and go into different endeavors. So I guess when I tried to do certain things, I was never necessarily scared to. I understood that half of the issue is actually just doing it in the first place. So when I got to uni, I think my first venture was probably writing. So I remember, I think in second year, I'd written some cards and I had another friend design it because she was an artist, and we actually sold those cards at uni. And again, it was a learning experience because we had sold all those cards, but I had learned different things, as in how to pull together a project and whatnot. I even wrote a book, again, whilst testing my hand at writing. It wasn't the greatest book, but again, it's the idea of actually finishing and just completing. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I guess within myself, I'm quite confident at learning to take the shots. So by the time Tisume had kind of like formed in my mind, I knew it was something that I was very passionate about, and all the lessons that I've learned in life in terms of being disciplined, consistent, just going through the motions and trusting the process has brought us where we are today. We've been working on Tisume for 2 years, and we've done such a great job. We've had at least 4 iterations now, 4 different versions of the app, and every time we're just learning to be consistent. Just go out to people, go out to users, consistently ask them their questions. And I guess if I have one thing to say is, don't be afraid. Like, a lot of people are scared, and I guess once you learn to get your hands dirty, you learn that there's nothing to be afraid of, and there's no such thing as failure. And I guess something Michael and I were talking about quite recently is, especially as a founder, we're used to things turning around for us much quicker, but we're not in that space anymore. And we have to understand that this is a journey that is going to take a few years to actually materialize. But you have to be consistent, you have to stay disciplined, and you have to keep working towards it. So yeah, I think that's the best advice if I have to give. Like, don't be afraid and just keep working towards it.
Perfect. Michael?
For me, I guess as a child, I've always liked like fiddling around with things, like breaking things apart and then putting them back together. Like it's always been like just kind of a natural theme for me. And I guess it kind of like that kind of trend continued up to like university. Like I studied mechanical engineering, I studied software developing. Like I just like the idea of building. I love the idea of iterating. I love the idea of essentially creating something and essentially seeing it grow. Um, After university, I was in I went and started my own business in Airbnb and property and renting out properties, and essentially I was quite successful in that. And when I had my first business, I realized this was kind of a calling for me, that I wanted to plant the seeds of something, put determination behind it, focus behind it, drive behind it, and essentially see this thing grow from, I guess, an idea to something that's like tangible, that's providing value for people. And I think, Tisume is kind of like the accumulation of all of that, like my software developing background, my creativity, my ideas, and I guess a lot of time and focus it's a passion project for me.
Yeah.
And I can finally see that like it actually provides real value. It's more than just it could be profitable, but I can see a problem and I see the solution too. And it's one of the things that it's not straight away. It's like Deborah was saying. There's sometimes we hit a wall, but it's sometimes those are the things that keep you going, because it's like as soon as you find that solution, it just the momentum carries you forward, and you just want to go further and further and further. So yeah.
Indeed.
I definitely want to say having a great co-founder makes all the difference. Michael and I met at university, and like as soon as I had the idea, like we've graduated maybe 3-4 years now, I knew the first person to call would be Michael, just because I knew we're very similar in the sense that we kind of know how to keep things pushing. And on days I'm down, he's actually carrying the fort. And there's days he's down, I'm carrying the fort. So I guess between us as well, it's important that you have a co-founder that you can trust. I speak to him more than I speak to anybody else. But that's because we believe in our vision. And between the both of us, we know we can get it. And again, between the both of us, we're keeping consistent, we're being determined, we're doing everything we possibly can to make this a reality. And like he said, we're actually seeing the value. Like people are actually asking us, oh, where can I join? Where can I sign up? When is it going live? And that makes all the difference to us, really.
Yeah.
Indeed. I couldn't emphasize on the fact that what you just mentioned, that having a right co-founder makes a huge difference.
Mm.
It is one of the things, like, a lot of inspirational speakers already had talked about it, even in TED Talks, that it is exactly has the same importance as choosing your life partner,
Mm.
because it affects you that much. You just said that you speak with Michael more than anybody else, right? So that makes us, totally sense. Great
Yeah.
stuff. So I am very, very eager to learn which stage you guys are on right now with your. Do you have an MVP, or you're still working on it? And I would like to also know. I mean, we have already shared this with our listeners, that you had some challenges when you were looking for a stylist at some point, after your 25th birthday. But I would also like to unwrap that, what exactly you did in order to get into this mindset of starting the business, basically the story behind it.
Okay.
Mm.
I guess I'll talk about where we are right now. So I built version 1. I think it's almost like several months now. I can't give you a solid date, but we built version 1. I built myself, and that kind of like bridged the gap between like imagination and reality. I think that was like the first step of saying, okay, we can actually build something tangible. But we knew straight away once it was done that there was a lot of things like component features that were missing, and a lot of things that we wanted to do. So we built version 2 by bootstrapping it and paying developers or getting like outside help and making our team bigger such that we can have the skills to further build out. We used bootstrapping from our own fundings, and we used that to gather feedback from service providers to figure out what they really wanted and iron out what couldn't work. We really need to understand how the current standard of the beauty market would actually treat our technology, and how we can actually, instead of making a technology that we think is right, but actually something that they needed. And that's where we're currently now. We have an MVP. It works, but we want to build something that's perfect. And we have we know what the roadmap looks like. We know the next steps. We have everything that we want to build. We're just in that funding stage to just get it from V2 to what we consider maybe the final V3, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And
Um,
just before Deborah answers my second part of the question, just to give you a heads up, you guys are on the verge of next revolution.
Mm.
I'm saying that because this has been already done in US,
Mm.
right? Two guys from the similar background as yourself, Michael and Deborah,
Mm.
were actually software engineers, and they started a marketplace like Tisume, and they are now close to, I think, raising around $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is how popular they got within, like, I think 9 months or something.
wow.
And they got so much funding that they actually opened their own barber shop to figure out what kind of challenges stylists
I have
face
it.
in their
Yeah.
day-to-day life.
Yeah.
I think I know that. Is that Esquire?
Yeah, I was
Esquire?
gonna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
want to take their name.
No.
Yeah, I didn't want to. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's funny because I me and Deborah actually, I saw that video like 2-3 days ago, and I was actually said that to Deborah because I was like, yeah, it's similar. But that actually jumps me to a point, because we actually asked all our service providers and service users why they couldn't use what's currently on the market. So there's things like Equity and, like, I guess, like other apps which have scheduling systems and booking systems, and we were wondering like why that wasn't good enough. And I think our user base came up with a few points. Number one, it was a case where service providers were like, we don't want to go off Instagram. We've got a whole portfolio. It's a system that works. There's just only a few issues that's wrong with it. The service users were like, well, Instagram doesn't give us the details of who we're actually working with. Can we trust them? What ensures quality? And that's where we came in. We were like, okay, all these apps don't focus on this specific problem. They're great for general use, but it was there that we were like, okay, this is where we can thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move to Deborah then. Let's get to the next point.
Yes, so where did this originate from? Yeah, it was my 25th birthday, and as a lady, you're usually excited for all these things. And my birthday's in October, and I actually had to start looking for a good stylist from July. Just because the entire ecosystem is, like I said, overly saturated. So you actually have to do your research, and this isn't like quick research. It's going to take you a couple hours to figure out who can actually do your hair, like am I going to like it? Are they really good? And again, after searching for about 2 months, on the day the stylist had cancelled on me, and I had to like text everyone, like, do you know anyone that could do my hair like right now? And it was just chaos. Like, it was chaos. And honestly, that day I was so furious. I just said, enough is enough. Something needs to be done.
Mm.
Because it's not the first time it had happened to me, and it wasn't going to be the last time. And when I spoke to people, like I said, we actually went out into the streets of Stratford and we said, what are your horror stories? And you find a lot of people will tell you stylists are canceling last minute, stylists have crazy policies, they charge you if you're late, but then they come late and there's no fees, all of this chaos. And I realized it's the wild, wild west out there. So we
Mm.
really but like I called Michael and he'd said, like, funnily enough, I've been working on something similar. And that's when he said he'll pull up version 1, and he really did his best. And bearing in mind, it's one person working on like building a whole new website while he was actually working to build another one.
Mm.
So yeah, after we got the version 1, we got to see what the first would look like, and we said, okay, cool, this isn't going to work, but it's a starting point. So we had given it to our service providers, and we had asked them, because sometimes you think you're solving a problem but you're not. So it's important to like include the people that you want to use the prod platform, their
Mhm.
opinions, because in essence it's for them. So that's what we did. We did our first version. We said, no, this is terrible. We asked some questions. We went back. We bootstrapped our second version, which
Mhm.
was better, but it still looked off. And then we hired a developer to help us bring it up to scratch. But now it's in a great place. It works. We have really good features, and I have no doubt that we have like a good innovative platform, different from all the competitors out there. We have layers to it that will actually make us be better. And yeah, just by the time we've gotten to this version, I really feel like we are actually solving the problem, because
Yeah.
when we talk to people about it, they're like, oh my God, yes, this is what we've been looking for. And again, between myself and Michael, we are constantly asking people, how do we make it better? How do we do this? And that's when we really came up with the AI features, because again, it's something other people aren't doing. And our demographic, we're looking at a group that's on TikTok. So the styles are changing every day, trends are changing every day, and they might want to try on a look to see what it looks like before they actually do it. So it's those kind of forward thinking, and even the Tisume store, like realizing that there's actually a gap as well in products, and understanding that with our platform, we're not just working on one level, because we did speak to a lot of investors as well, and they said to us, well, marketplaces, they usually hit a wall. So we kind of went back and said, okay, cool, how do we move past that wall? How are we a unicorn? What is our difference? How do we plan to make 1 million? And that's when we thought a bit further into the innovative technologies and the Tisume store. So yeah.
So you guys, are you guys still 100% bootstrap, or you have raised some money?
Well,
We are, huh?
God,
I was just saying we are yet to raise funding, but we are definitely in a place where we are actually in more positions to receive funding. So we were recently accepted onto the Barclays funding program. We're on the Black Valley program. We're on the Barclays Black Founders program. We just completed the Essentia pitch competition. So, like I said, it's a process, and I guess we're in the phases of our no's. But I do believe our yes is coming very soon. Yeah.
That's exactly the process of founders to go from 0 to 1 and then just fly with
Yeah.
rocket. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, with every no, it's not like, and this is between, like, again, we have to learn every no isn't necessarily a no. It doesn't mean your product isn't good enough. It just means we kind of need to go back and refigure what points are we reselling, what points are we not selling enough, what are we not pushing enough, what what is not right. And I guess with every time we're pitching and we are hearing no's, we're going back and we're evaluating. So the next time we pitch, we're actually better.
Yeah.
Sure, sure. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the the backbone. So as you're saying that you have your MVP ready, what strategies, and I think this question is more for you, Michael,
Mm-hmm.
what strategies you guys are thinking to put in place in order to bring your customers to your door? For example, some of the founders I have interviewed, they don't have any funding, so they were purely bootstrap and they didn't plan to have any funding,
Yep.
but they were really good with search engine optimization, and they actually had more visitors on their landing page and their newsletter signups um, uh, without doing any paid marketing.
Yep.
The other ones I have interviewed, they did something like called pre-launch deals, where they offered really cool, like 90% off deals for their products and services. So, what kind of strategies, considering it's a service-based marketplace, and marketplace are really hard to break in, but I guess you guys have really strong, hold on the community space. What strategies you're planning or actually implementing right now to gather customers?
I'm so glad you asked. So this came from, so the first thing we had to do is I had the exact same question for Deborah. Customer acquisition. Like I was always like every day me and Deborah were talking about how do we don't have any funding. How do we attract customers? So the first thing I did is I kind of reverse engineered. The first customer we wanted was the service providers. If you bring the service providers, the people will come. People will come for the service, the quality of the service that are coming. So the first thing was onboarding these people. So I asked myself, who are these people? I broke them down, I reverse engineered them, and we broke them down, and we just basically bring them into what kind of people we want to attract as long-term users of our I guess our app. And what happened was that we realized that there were beauty schools. And there's beauty schools like in tons of different areas that basically we've made connections with and basically established a very strong relationship where we've offered stuff like affiliate marketing and some sort of financial incentive. And we said, hey, if you from all you have to do is these people are coming out to the wild west of Instagram, right? Something that doesn't really work. All you have to do is onboard them into something that they're very familiar with and essentially just channel them into ours. And that basically makes an A to B pipeline of just bringing those customers in. There's also things where we're looking into the other side of marketing, where we're offering affiliate marketing, and for the first year, reduced payments into subscription. We're not doing subscription model, but I guess reduced payment into using our services. And I guess the final thing is, before we were just marketing off ourselves, we had a few people helping us out. Now we have a dedicated social media marketing manager who is very, very in the industry, in the current trends. And she's a professional at just basically understanding, reading our ideal customers and interacting them, not just into person, but in Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. And through that, we've essentially got the amount of interactions to what is Tisume through her. And yeah, I guess those are the 4 points we've been working through. Deborah, did I miss anything?
No, he didn't. Yeah, I think Michael made a great point there. We had to reverse engineer to decide like where to start from, and we realized the service providers are the key. They have their own base of customers. They bring in the customers, so it's them that we needed to target first. And yeah, we set up we set up a relationship with the coaches. So once they've done the training, they're literally onboarded, and that's a cohort of about 50 people a month. A bit more, I think, because we've got different coaches that have actually agreed to this. Also, university tours. We want to target them whilst they're very young. If you're a service provider and you start out at uni, by the time you've actually done your 3 years, you've propelled exponentially. If you're a client and you're from London and you've moved to Portsmouth, you want to be able to find a stylist out there to do your work as well. So going out into like outside London and actually establishing a base there as well of service providers. And then once we have a bit more funding, we did want to do more fun stuff like pop-ups and more interactive stuff so we can actually engage clients. But at the moment, we do have to think that we're still bootstrapping. So we have to think about the most cost-effective and efficient ways, which Michael has already mentioned.
Yeah. And to double on what you've just said is like the reason why we're aiming for I guess that 16 to 21, we're looking at like universities is we find that with like older customer bases, like I guess 35 plus, 40 plus, they're so used to, they're stuck in their ways. But if we found that if you, whatever you start with and you grow with is what you're permanently with. So every customer that we get for that's with us for like 2 years, we know that if we don't, as long as the quality is still up there, that we're still providing, they're with us for life. Yeah.
Right. Well, as you guys were talking about the pop-ups, tip, 29th of November, or I think so, close to that, Excel Center having a business expo, big,
Okay.
50,000. Yeah, 50,000 people will be coming there. I don't know how much it costs. They always send me an invite to put my canopy there, but I'm too busy doing this great show, But you guys always reach out to them. It's really good, and I'm sure you might have seen Expo Center. It's really good, right? It's big Expo Center, sorry, on DLR, right? Yeah, so it would be a good opportunity. Okay, great. So now,
information as well. No,
sorry?
I said it would be good to get that information as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. I will definitely share with you. So great. So I've learned where you are right now in terms of your platform. So you guys saying that you've got your MVP ready. I have understood what kind of strategies you're putting in place in terms of how you're, converting your potential customer to the customers and, filling the both side of the marketplace. Could you talk a little bit more about the challenges you have faced while you were trying to connect with these local coaches or teachers or schools? Because I guess in a founder's life, it looks easy from outside for people like us who are looking from or listening from outside that, they have just contacted somebody who is teaching, stylist, and they got the 50 people every month. I bet it must be more difficult than that, isn't it?
So I think Deborah is more. I have my own, because we both working to get in contact with like beauty service providers, and I think me and Deborah had different problems. I think what it is that there's an unfamiliarity with like the offer that we were proposing. I think for like what I found, and number two, coming from me as well. Like I think people in the, I guess, black beauty space, they're used to seeing girls as as naturally, that's their community. So it's like coming from me, giving them an offer, it's like, oh, what's going on here, right? But I guess with Deborah, she'd face a different, like when coming in contact with beauty service providers and
there was a lot of rejection as well. So like you could reach out to someone and they might be game one day, and then it's time to actually like sign up and stuff like that, and you get nothing from them. But for us, it was definitely a case of like just being consistent with people, and if you get a no one time, moving on to the next person, but also coming back to ask them again. We did it did take us a while to kind of pull together a few that would actually give us like a solid number. But it was definitely hard because you had to we had to search them out, we had to write a list, we had to write emails. Do you want to join? We did have to send like a coaching pack to let them know like what it is we're actually doing, like why we want to be involved. Because again, we're probably like the first SaaS that's actually reached out to service providers to say, oh, do you want to be a part of this journey? And for them, they might not have the time, they might be too busy, they might just not want to do it. But some people are a bit game. So for us, again, it was definitely just a case of emailing people again and again and again. I guess that is the hard part, because sometimes you're gonna get a lot of no's, a lot of people are gonna ignore you, but some people will say yes. And I guess we understand that. So when it comes to like repeatedly sending emails or chasing someone or doing this or doing that, we're definitely game to do it. But yeah, we knew that if we had those coaches locked in, we'd have a good number of cohorts, and that was really key for us, because like now we've got 1,000 service providers on our wait list alongside the cohort of people that will be joining. So that's a solid number for us, and that's really what we needed, because especially when you go out to investors, they want to know how many people are on your wait list, they want to know how many users you've got. And when we say we've actually got a coaching pipeline alongside a wait list of 1,000 people, it's much better. And we really did have to like email and again and again and again to make that happen.
Yeah, it's a tenacious spirit. I mean, and the thing is, like, we're not, like Deborah said repeatedly, we're not afraid of failure. We're almost like specialists at failure as such that like we're very comfortable. We're very comfortable feeling that, and it's very we
It's not
wouldn't see it as
failure.
paying, it's learning. Yeah,
Failure. It's learning.
failure, learn. Yeah. Not as in failure as in we went down, but failure as in it's an opportunity to learn. Yeah, yeah.
You're on mute.
Oh yeah, Asher on mute.
Sorry, my bad.
No,
Right. So so I've heard that you guys will be having a lot of potential stylists registering soon on your platform. You have a pipeline in place. You're already targeting, you already have an influencer in your team who is really good with the social media platform to bring you the customers. So you have solved the hard parts of the business. Now let's talk about the revenue model. What kind of revenue model Tisume is thinking to put together to make money? Because ultimately, when you go out to raise money, the investor will be asking you this question, isn't it?
Yes. So we want to operate on three business models. So the first being a subscription model for the marketplace for service providers, where service providers they sign up, they pay a monthly fee, and we take a percentage of bookings. Off of that subscription model alone, our forecasted we're expected to reach like six figures in about 3 quarters, with a minimum of like 2,000, with a minimum of 2,500 service providers signed up. We're already halfway there because we have 1,000 on our wait list. But our ability to reach six figures in the first year is very possible just off that subscription model alone. However, we understand that we can very much reach a wall with it. So we've introduced the Tisume store, like I've mentioned before. 59% of Black British women they shop at independent retailers when it comes to their hair or beauty products. So here is where we actually are a marketplace for products. Here we compete against the likes of Amazon, and now Wow Fantastic, other platforms that actually sell products. But again, because we have solidified ourselves in the community and solidified our brand as a minority, like for minority service providers, it's a small pivot that we've introduced onto the platform. And from there, we're using the e-commerce model, and from there, we're able to actually like make a profit, an uncapped profit again if you're selling products. And then finally, adverts, market affiliation. Obviously, as we get more traction towards the website, we will now be in a position to leverage advertisement spaces to big brands and whoever's prepared to pay for such.
Great stuff. Because that opens up multiple revenue streams from the same platform, and that's an interesting model because that way you can control the flow, the inflow, and the outflow of the capital into your business. That's really smart.
Thank you.
Great.
Michael actually came up with the Tisume store. I will give him credit for that.
Awesome. So Michael, will you be able to talk a little bit about so because you come from the tech background, I'm guessing you operate more towards the CTO role in the company. Will you be able to share what kind of tech stack you guys are using for your application currently? Are you available on the browser or App Store or Google Play Store, and what other mediums you're available in? What kind of APIs are you using in order to pull the data, etc., etc.
cool. Yeah. So this is several fronts. Do you want to hear about version 1, or you want to hear about the current version, or where we're going?
Let's talk about the current version.
Okay, so the current version, we use a mixture of WordPress and a few APIs like WooCommerce. We use dashboards. I guess for the AI, we'd use something similar to like Remly, to like for like the AI system and to try it on AI. For machine learning, we use all of like the onboarded already dashboard that's already built into like WordPress. And essentially, the tech stack is essentially just JavaScript, React, using basic, databases like PostgreSQL. But I guess for the future one, it's like we've made I guess, relationship with an external team that are primarily based on React. With all of the AI is built like, I guess what we should first say is that the current site, it's basically you can log on now. It's tisume.com, but we you can only subscribe or onboard yourself because we're still collecting feedback. We're working with like a private network, so it's essentially we're still controlling how many people because we don't want to overload the servers, and essentially we're very careful about what kind of feedback we're going into and curating the journey and making sure that we're actually learning as much as possible from those service providers. You can also get it at the App Store also. I guess for the future of the apps, we're using a similar technology stack. So JavaScript, React, PostgreSQL for database, and there's going to be a few APIs that call into data for trends, and the AI itself is built in house.
Oh, okay. Are you
Yeah.
guys using the server cloud services for AI?
Well, actually, I guess it's too soon we haven't made a decision because we're still working with the developers who are building that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do also want to mention like our journey with the tech stack, getting to here, just because we literally moved a couple versions, and for any founders out there, I will say be careful of like who you actually work with to develop or like your understanding of it. I guess with us, because we were bootstrapping, we ended up relying on like a lot of pre-coded websites. Is that correct?
Yeah. No code.
No code, yeah, no code websites, such as ShareTribe and WordPress. But we kind of ran into some problems because they're only going to look as good that like you reach a wall with them in terms of how much you can control. So the UX UI, we didn't really have much say over that, and we really did have to start again. Um, so we're happy with our website now. We understand its capacity to be so much better, and we've currently got a software development team on standby who's already agreed to kind of like build our bespoke app for us. So that's the next phase for us once we've gotten some funding. But yeah, it's been a journey with tech stack, and I think Michael's done a really good job of ensuring that we maximize what we have.
Sure. That's great. And I think you have covered almost all the step-by-step process a founder needs to cover to reach to where you are right now at your MVP stage. So as we're heading towards the end, from both of you, I would like to know something which is really personal. Like, throughout your journey and experience, there must have been valuable lessons to learn. If you don't mind sharing, could you reflect on your experiences and tell us about one mistake or a setback that you have encountered along the way and that you consider not really a regret, but a lesson in your life? And additionally, what advice would you give our listeners based on that experience? First, you, Deborah, and then we'll go to my final.
I remember after version no, okay. I remember after version one, maybe having a bit of a go at my co-founder. I just wasn't happy, but and that happens. But I guess, and I was really like, we need to have an MVP now. We're not moving fast enough. Like, why is this not happening? And I guess fast forward a year later, I think one of the things I would have learned from that is honestly just be patient. Um, like I said, I guess it was only very recently I've become comfortable with the journey. And when I say the journey, you have to understand that this is a journey. You're not going to see you might not see results for 5 to 10 years. And without seeing any results, you still have to be dedicated, and you still have to move, and you still have to be patient with one another. And I guess understanding the dynamic between me and my co-founder, understanding that we both actually have full-time jobs and we still have to commit to that as well as committing to this. But like I said, we became very patient with each other and very understanding. So when we did go out to outsource, we did interviews, we recruited people, and we did hold interviews, and we did it together, and we did a scoring system. So even when we outsourced it, we were on the same page about everything. But it took us a while. Like sometimes we have the same conversations again and again, and we're still arguing about things, but we are very patient. And because we want the same things, we learn to be patient with each other. And we've come so far in the last year, like genuinely, from thinking that nobody would ever like this to, being accepted onto a few programs, actually pitching and actually seeing the traction. It's nice for everything to come together. But if I turn around and just said to Michael that day, I don't want to work with you no more, you're too slow, you're too this, you're too that, we wouldn't have gotten where we are today. So I think the key thing is, yeah, just be patient with your journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm.
Yeah.
Perfect. Michael?
Thinking about it now, I was looking at, there was a few lessons I was thinking about. But I think if I had to go to one, I think the most powerful lesson I can leave you with is just focusing on right now. Like, if you basically had told me like a year ago or two, like a year and a bit ago, that, oh yeah, we have to do pitches and things have to be ready, and sometimes things aren't going to be perfect, and like, oh, and you don't know like how long it's going to take, and you told me a year ago that was going to happen, I would never have made that first step. But I think what it is just focusing on that, the current moment, like what you can do right now at this moment, and do that at the best ability, and just take it one step at a time, just one step. Like, if, as long as you can keep moving, then you're going in the right direction.
Right.
Just keep moving forward, because it's like a lot of times, like I've never gotten this far in like building our own app. Like with like this, Deborah is my co-founder, and we've this is something that is our passion for, that we understand. But first, like getting other people to understand it, and we're constantly meetings where we've never been. We're always constantly in uncomfortable situations. And if you had told us like, oh, like you have like 10 million meetings like in the future, which you're not going to know anything about or everything about, their bits and bobs, like you have to get this data and this, that, and you have to learn so much, I think it'd be a daunting task. But at times we just focus, okay, what can we do right now to go forward? We know we have this meeting, what can we do right now? Okay, we know we want to hit this deadline, what can we do right now? What do we need to learn? What do we need to provide? What if we analyze ourselves right now, what are we missing to get to that next stage? And it's one step at a time.
Yeah. So patience and focus on the current.
Yeah.
I like it. Great. So, as we are heading towards the end of this interview, I would like to take you both into the lightning round. I've got 6 quick fire questions for you,
Okay.
and because we have two of you, so the way we should do it is I'll ask a question, and then Deborah, you answer first, and then Michael, so that we don't have any confusion. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Let's get into it. Question number 1. What's one of the best pieces of business advice you have received?
Oh, best piece of business advice that I have received. It was actually from Michael, surprisingly, but he had recommended a book which had the Personal MBA, by the way, which is really good. And one of the points on there was about it was actually about literally just making the first step, not being afraid to make the first step, because a lot of people can't even make that first step. So yeah, I guess just reading that, and I guess I've been trying to redefine myself, I guess, and be a bit more in tune with my purpose and stuff. So I guess like when I read that, it really did move me to like, just do it, just go anyway. You might not do well, you might do well, who cares? Just go, just do it, and we'll see what happens. And as small and as mundane as that sounds, it's really powerful, because it really is true. You really do just have to go and do it, come what may.
Yeah. Michael?
I guess if I had one piece of advice, it's whatever business you're going into, study your customer. Find out find out when they're going to be. For example, like exactly from that book, one of the things was like, everybody is potentially your customer, but they're not your customer at that exact same time. So about how, like, for example, people who are expecting babies, who are in pregnancy waiting, that's when like diaper companies will like go to them and be like, all right, this is the perfect time to market them, because they're expecting. So it's like the same way, wherever business, know your customer and know when it's the right time to market to them.
Yeah, totally agree. Great. Second question, what book would you recommend to our audience, and why?
Okay, I'm gonna go with Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers, I believe. It's a self-motivating book, but it basically logically explains to you all the reasons why you should do it anyway. That's a big theme I'm going for today. But yeah, it really did, at a time when you're feeling a bit not sure about life or not sure what you want to do. It's a great book that really does push you in the right direction. I've read it at least 3 times now. Somebody actually got it for me, but yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah, I have to do the answer my personal MBA by Josh Kaufman. Yeah, I would go, honestly, it has everything you need to know about
No,
startups,
literally, yeah,
risks, everything. I mean, like, I've read tons of books. I've got investment books right here. My bookshelf is stacked with books. But if that's one book I could recommend, it's that one.
yeah. I think he covers all the points. He covers all the points seamlessly. And what's crazy is Michael and I actually we read the books like separately, but we followed the plan.
Yeah,
Like everything he said was literally tickable things,
yeah.
and we followed it to the T. And yeah, we've come this far, and we're gonna still read the book again to
Probably
go
many
through
times.
the days.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. What's one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
What's one attribute or characteristic of mine? Being a leader, understanding. I think one thing about me is I might not necessarily have the skills or the technology, but I'm very good at like rallying people around me who do, but also learning in that environment. It's important to be observant and like be able to absorb what is happening around you. I've worked at fintechs, I've worked at McKinsey, I've worked at consultancy firms, and everywhere I go, I'm able to kind of soak up the information and take it with me and understand how to utilize these skills. So I think being a leader is important because you might not necessarily understand the tech side of it, right? But you still have to be able to empower other people to believe in your vision, to want to join you on your journey. And I think that's one thing Michael and I are pretty great at doing. Yeah.
Okay, Michael?
I'm gonna say something a bit controversial, but I'm gonna say delusion. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be like a great like founder, you need to be absolutely delusional. You need to have an idea that either people like it's not created yet, or it's like you're serving a market that haven't been introduced to it, and you have to see the vision that nobody else has seen yet. That this is the solution to a problem that they might never exist. A problem, for example, like they say it all the time. Like if you had asked people back in the day, "Oh, would you want a car? What would you want for transport?" They'd say a faster horse. They would never ask for a car, right? And it's like, and it's that exact same thing with everything. It's like you need to believe in this idea so much that from the concept from an idea to reality is delusion all the way through.
Yeah, yeah. Or in another word, manifestation.
Manifestation. What two sides of the same coin? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I would definitely recommend you both to watch Re-Rec on Apple TV. It's a
Yeah.
really good series. It's based on WeWork and how they wreck the whole WeWork business model. And you will see how the couple, the founder and his wife, actually used to manifest things before actually achieving them. So that would
Yeah.
be good. Great. Next question. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
Oh, I for me, I'm an athlete like first and foremost. So I feel like if I want to really be productive, I just go back to training or I just like go back to play occasionally. But when I am there, I'm reminded of all the things that, the fundamental things such as discipline, such as working hard because I physically have to do it. But it really does. There's something about just playing basketball that really does like ingrind in me that we're in the process, we're working, we're doing it. Like let's go, let's move. And I guess I'm in such a good team where everyone's really positive and really happy, and all of that energy does reflect onto me, and I'm able to take it into my work and my real world. So it's something I love. Like I try to go at least every morning to start off my day, just get the blood pumping, get the energy pumping. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Michael?
I think consistency is where everything lives and dies, right? It's like it's where growth comes in. And the problem with consistency is that just inevitably as a human being, you're gonna hit a day that's a bad day or a low day. And I think when that bad day happens, I like to keep two things in mind. Whenever I think I have a should thought, was like I should do this today or I should do that today, and I'm beating myself up, I change that to a could. So rather saying, "Oh, I should write a report today," or I should email this investor, I write, "Oh, I could email investor," and it changes that mindset to like something positive, and it makes it to like a possibility. And I think the second thing that I do is I negotiate when things are hard, and I'm like, I want to procrastinate. I don't do this. I procrastinate. I negotiate with myself and say, you know what? I completely understand that I wanna play today and I wanna watch YouTube, but you know what? Let's just get this done, and then for like at the end of the day, as much YouTube as we want, right? And
Give yourself a treat.
yeah, and treat yourself well. Yeah. So you know that consistency is the most important thing, but it's how to be consistent, and you do it in a way that's actually feasible. You can't just you can't beat yourself, because it's like being a horse. It's eventually just going to give up. You have to care for it. Yeah.
Good. Question number 5. What's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had the time and money?
Oh, can I let Michael go first?
Oh yeah, I'm always thinking of ideas. So actually, what I was thinking of recently is if I had the time and money and I wasn't doing Tisume, what I would do is I would do security VPNs. Have online sports games, like people like illegally download sports games, right? I found out recently, like, it's such a huge thing. Like the amount of people that, like, downloading, like, watching illegal sports games is like 100,000, sometimes millions at one go. And sports companies will pay you like millions in contracts to get like to find like solutions to remove those people and bring those servers down. So if I had the time and money, I'd invest into like a cybersecurity team and go out and go and chase those servers. And get contracts. A great A to B business.
Yeah, different but really good.
Yeah.
Deborah?
Honestly, I haven't thought of any new current crazy business ideas. I actually haven't. I'm not sure why. But
Super focused. That's the
yeah,
right
no, I am genuinely so focused on Tizumi. I work in the civil service, and to be fair, like, I do enjoy it, and it is something I would love to like pursue if I had a bit more time. But no crazy ideas from me yet at the moment. Sorry. This is a good one so far, so I'm gonna see where it takes me first before I think of the next.
Yeah.
And last but not least, what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
You can go first.
I chose my engineering degree because of Iron Man. Basically, when I got my degree results, they were all very good. When I got my my high school results or secondary school results, they were all very good, so I could do anything. So they were like, "Oh, what do you want to be when you're older?" When you were a kid, and I was like, "Oh, I wanted to be Iron Man. I like Tony Stark." So I found out what degree he did by googling. I was like, engineering, and I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'll be an engineer."
You do that.
Yeah.
What's a fun or interesting fact most people don't know about me? I'm actually an adrenaline junkie. This is half of where my confidence comes from. I like to do crazy things such as jumping out of a plane. I hang off of towers sometimes. I like to push myself to do things that I wouldn't want to do. But it works out in my real life because I'm always going for things that should scare me but don't. Because if I can jump out of a plane, I can do anything else, right?
Yeah. I always wanted to, but I am so old now, I can't do it.
No,
My heart will pump out.
funnily enough, there was a guy on his 60th birthday who also did like the skydiving. So you're never too old.
Yeah, that's actually right. Give me some motivation. Well, Michael and Deborah, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, unpacking the last few months and years of building this business and some of the ups and downs along the way. If people want to check out Tisume, what's the way they can find it? Is it a website, app?
Yeah.
How do
So there is a website to www.tasumi.com, but because we're uploading, we'd actually, if anybody's interested who's watching the podcast, please, we will drop a link to our waiting list where we're hopefully going to come out with version 3 very soon.
Awesome. Perfect. And if people want to check out and connect with you guys, what's the best way?
I'm Deborah Somoye on LinkedIn, and Michael is also Michael Kasim on LinkedIn, and we also have a Tisume Ltd LinkedIn. And Tisume is also on Instagram, so at Tisume underscore UK. But yeah, type in Tisume, we should come up.
Yep. Tisume. Yep. Yep.
Perfect. Well, Michael, Deborah, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspirational journey and the impactful work you are doing through Tisume. It's been an absolute pleasure having you both on SaaS Stories podcast.
Thank you so much for having
Thanks
us.
for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity.
Cheers. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of our SaaS Stories podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Deborah and Michael insightful and inspiring. If you're a founder or an industry expert interested in sharing your story on our SaaS podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out. Simply email me at ash@artcircles.com and let's connect for a potential interview opportunity. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and stay updated on future interviews with proven founders and industry experts. We have a lineup of incredible guests and valuable insights coming your way. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.